Because what we're seeing right now is healthcare, especially under Obamacare, they've been spiking. And this is via ABC News. Insurers are set to raise premiums for plans sold through healthcare.gov by an average of 22% in 2017. And this statistic is via the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. You know, if people do want some form of healthcare system that repeal and replace, just because Obamacare seems to be so terribly broken, it seems like the only reason that it was actually enacted was just to have a rallying point for Democrats and other socialists.
Well, yeah, I mean, Obamacare is pretty much a lost cause by now.
Yeah.
And it seems like liberals don't want to accept that. And I like how they call the new conservative proposal. They say it's going to kill poor people and stuff like that, or kill children and poor families. And they appeal to like the pathos side of things, which in reality, even if you can't afford healthcare, they're still gonna take care of you. I mean, they're not gonna deny you like life-saving surgery just because you can't afford it. That's just the reality.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And you know, it's funny that they do that. Like, oh, you're gonna kill poor people, you're gonna kill children if you don't have this government enacted healthcare plan. And it's funny because like a huge reason that healthcare costs are so high is because of government in its own right.
Yeah, I mean, if we allowed free market controls on the industry, we'd be able to let the market adjust the premiums and be more competitive. And when the government steps in, they're reducing competition, just increasing premiums.
Hear that? Because I remember the huge Obama talking point was, you know, you will be able to keep your doctor, and you know, very typical for that promise to backfire.
Well, have you guys seen in
Well,
I've seen in Canada where they've implemented socialized healthcare, and you have very little choice in what doctor you see there. Have you guys seen super hospitals in Canada? Have you seen anything about those? They're basically the equivalent of hospitals we have here, to where you pay for the service yourself that you want to do. That way you're not getting these crazy wait times like of weeks and weeks so you can actually see a doctor.
Yeah, and it's funny, we see it with Canada, them coming here because I remember watching a video one time. It may have been Steven Crowder, and because he's a Canadian citizen, and he went back to Canada and he made up this false illness, and in an attempt to see a doctor, like the government-run clinics just couldn't have him. He had this like incredible wait time, but then he went to a super hospital type and it was immediate. And yeah, something I found too in my research is one of the largest proponents of nationalized healthcare, at least in America, are people in the healthcare system. There's a graph. All the graphs and statistics that I find will be found on the WordPress later on, and via crowdpack.com. And it's a chart, and it shows the income, earnings in dollars, and then on the that's on the x-axis, and the y-axis it shows basically their political ideology in a sense, where the higher you go is the more conservative you are, and the lower you are is more liberal. And most of the professions are. And then there's a median line. I forgot to mention that there's a median line between the more conservative and the more liberal. And most of the professions and specializations like allergy and immunology, gynecology, critical care medicine, hematology, nephrology, family medicine, and then psychiatry and all that. All of these things are they're on the more liberal side.
You have some Americans actually traveling to Canada to receive care, but even more Canadians are crossing the border to receive care in America. So you're having an interaction between the two healthcare systems, and it has implications for immigration as well in that sense.
Yeah, I remember my brother, he used to live out in California, and he used to travel to Mexico for dental care because it was so much cheaper.